Every day on this channel, I go through everything Elon said on X in the last 24 hours. And here's how many times Elon posted about each subject today. I'll go over everything he said about each topic before moving on to the next one. And starting with Tesla, Elon posted this video of Optimus learning Kung Fu in the lab. And Devin Olson replied saying, is that teleoperated or AI powered? Elon said AI, not teleoperated. And so Stephen Mark Ryan posts a GIF from the Matrix, Neo saying, I know Kung Fu. And kind of like Optimus, Neo had combat training programs downloaded into his brain. So Elon says, bullseye. And Ashik Elaswamy leads AI at Tesla. And he says it's just the beginning. Once the AI models for self-driving and Optimus unify, it's going to be lit. He says it's a great time to join the AI team to work on the coolest products on the planet. And Elon reposted this. And there is Neo fighting after he learned Kung Fu. And as Elon says, we are in a simulation. There's Tesla Optimus progress over time. Elon says Optimus V3 is something special. And what you saw doing Kung Fu is, of course, Optimus V2. And here's a dude solving Rubik's Cubes while juggling them. Elon says that this will be a good test for Optimus. How many years before you guys think Optimus could do that? Let me know in the comments. Doge Designer says Optimus can walk like us. Optimus can dance like us. Optimus can work like us. Now Optimus can do Kung Fu like us. And Elon reposted this. And in other big Tesla related news, Mr. Fundman says, what do I tell her at Elon Musk? Carrying on the mom joke. Mr. Fundman's mom said, hey, I have a question for Elon. He said, well, what is it? When FSD 14? So this got Elon to respond, and he said, last minute bug cropped up with V14. So the release is pushed to Monday, but that gives us time to add a few more features. And Leo works at Neuralink, and he says Teslas don't even feel like cars anymore. You walk up to it, it automatically unlocks, you tell it where to go, you press the FSD button, and it just takes you there. It feels unreal every time. And DJ says you don't even need to walk up to it, Teslas come to you. And Elon reposted that. And moving on to XAI, Tetsuo scheduled Grok 4 to deliver him XAI news every morning. Here is today, brought to you by Grok 4 Imagine and video editing.
Breaking news from the world of AI. XAI is on a hiring spree. They are seeking video game experts. These experts will serve as tutors. They will train the Grok AI chatbot. The training is in video game design and mechanics. Candidates could earn $100 per hour. In a major collaboration, XAI has teamed up with Microsoft and BlackRock. This is on an ambitious initiative. They plan to invest $30 billion. The investment is in building advanced AI data centers. It also includes infrastructure.
And Elon reposted that. And Grok continues to lead the benchmarks. You can see that Grok is #1 on Terminal Bench Hard, #1 on the GPQA Diamond for scientific reasoning, and #1 on SciCode for coding. Elon said progress. And Grok Code Fast beats Claude Sonnet 4.5 and GPT-5 codecs in different edit success rates on Klein, while being 15 times and 6 times cheaper respectively. XAI cooked an amazing agentic coding model, and it is 100% free in Klein right now. This is just the beginning. The upcoming releases will make this even better, so keep grokking. And Elon quoted that saying, Grok. And Grok now provides instant real-time answers right below as you type. It's faster than you finish typing out your question, and Elon reposted this. And OpenRouter says that you can now see the most popular language models for different languages on OpenRouter. Here's XAI's Grok 4 Fast dominating German prompts and completions. Looks like it uses 10x more tokens than the #2 spot. Tetsuo says Grok 4's combined usage captures 37% of all top 20 token usage this month on OpenRouter, and Grok Code Fast 1 alone accounts for 29%. Elon says get Grok. And here's a Grok hack. You can tap anywhere on the screen to jump into full screen mode on Grok companions. And Base Beth Jezo says honestly, XAI could just serve Grok 4 Heavy forever at this point, and they will have impacted science and truth-seeking more than any human. The current capabilities for math and physics are pretty astounding. We might just pass the great filter. And Elon reposted that. And Tetsuo shares a fun project that you can start with Grok 4 in which you actually build your own operating system. He says below is a prompt that you can give to Grok code, and it will set up a solid foundation for a Linux-based operating system that you can build from the ground up. And Elon reposted it. And he also reposted that Grok 4 Fast is the most fastest, smartest AI according to XFreeze. And this XAI employee says folks who were online during the browser wars. What made people switch from Internet Explorer and Netscape to Google Chrome? What convinced Windows-heavy users to say, well, we have a new browser that is not bad, let's give it a try? Do you think a similar thing could be pulled off today? Another XAI employee named Toby responds. He says Chrome focused on user experience more than any other browser. They invented the Omni bar. Other browsers had dedicated search plugins, and many of them. Chrome's tab support was far superior, and the browser itself was significantly faster. They also created dev tools and baked it into the browser. The best thing you could get before was Firebug on Firefox, which wasn't amazing. Finally, Chrome had a much improved rendering engine, which means fewer websites looked broken due to HTML and CSS issues. You can check out the launch trailer, and he said it's also interesting to see their initial ads, which showed how fast the browser is. Chrome won, and Elon said exactly. And XAI ranks number 5 on a list of the world's most valuable private companies. OpenAI sits at number 1 at $500 billion. Robin says 3 from the top 5 being founded by the same person is actually insane. He's referring to Elon Musk co-founding OpenAI, SpaceX, and XAI. Elon replied to Robin saying the OpenAI valuation seems high. And now moving on from the world of technology, Libs of TikTok says you cannot make this up. These are some of the things the Democrats are demanding that we fund. $3 million for circumcisions and vasectomies in Zambia, $800,000 for transgender people in Nepal, $4 million for LGBTQ people in the Western Balkans and Uganda, $3.6 million for pastry cooking classes and dance focus groups for male prostitutes in Haiti, $500,000 for electric buses in Rwanda, $6 million for media organizations for the Palestinians, $300,000 for a pride parade in Lesotho, and almost $900,000 for social media and mentorship in Serbia. So Elon raises an eyebrow at that one. And Ayn Rand once said, if some men are entitled by right to the products of the work of others, it means that those others are deprived of rights. Any alleged right of one man, which necessitates the violation of the rights of another, is not and cannot be a right. No man can have a right to impose an unchosen obligation as unrewarded duty or an involuntary servitude on another man. So basically, don't entitle yourself to another man's labor, and Elon reposted this. And Attorney General Pamela Bondi says, the attempted assassination of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh was a disgusting attack against our entire judicial system by a profoundly disturbed individual. The Justice Department will be appealing the woefully insufficient sentence imposed by the district court, which does not reflect the horrific facts of this case. And Elon reposted it. And Daniel posts this graphic with a switch. It's an easy switch that will fix everything. And when you flick that little switch, you will execute all of the high-level drug traffickers. But there's several quotations around the switch, sort of the voice of public opinion. You can't press that switch. Nobody actually wants to see any switch pressing. There is no switch. Yeah, if people say you shouldn't press the switch, then maybe don't. It isn't as easy as just pressing a switch. You have this ridiculous fantasy where you can just press the switch. And Elon reposted this. And that's a good segue into some of Elon's critiques of the justice system. Viewer discretion is advised. A man who randomly stabbed a 6-year-old to death was let out of prison after serving just 10 years. And the father of the boy now vows to kill him if they cross paths. This was back in 2015 when the criminal named Ronald broke into the home of the Tipton family in Kentucky and stabbed the young boy. And then he exhibited good behavior in prison, so he was released early. He was supposed to serve 20 years in prison, but he only served 10, and he was found not guilty by reason of insanity. The father said, "If I ever cross paths with him, I will kill the man. I will kill him right where he stands." The young boy Logan was stabbed repeatedly in the head so badly that the butcher's knife bent. It's absolutely infuriating, and those responsible for this pathetic result should be thrown in prison. Elon said, "Why would an insane murderer be released from prison?" Vittorio says he's not guilty of murder because he's legally insane. Time to put him back on the streets. They just want him to murder again. It's not that complicated. Elon says he will kill again. And this does not look like the same father to me, but a father attacks the man that took his son's life during his court hearing. Is it justified? Elon says it's more than justified. And the Seattle mayor Bruce Harrell says when a man does 6 or 7 crimes, we do not know his life story. Maybe he was hungry. Therefore, I have zero desire jailing him. Stephen Miller quoted that saying, "This is how a society dies." And Elon said, yeah. And going back to the guy who tried to assassinate Brett Kavanaugh, and then at some point while he was in jail, he decided he was a woman. And now the entire media is calling him a woman. Elon said, wow. And so the judge limited the sentence of the would-be Kavanaugh assassin Nicholas Roski to just 8 years in prison. The Department of Justice was asking for 30, partially because Roski now claims to be transgender and would have to serve in a male prison. Scott Jennings says, "You've got to be kidding me." And Elon again says, wow. And Metatron says, "Can I just kindly remind everyone that immediately after Charlie Kirk was shot, the leftist mob of students started yelling that we got Charlie in the neck? Take a moment for further analysis, please. Not they got Charlie in the neck. We. They said we. Let that sink in." And Elon reposted this. And more on the woke Netflix story. Netflix stock sees the largest weekly drop since April as ex-users have called on Netflix subscribers to cancel their subscriptions due to the company's pro-trans and LGBTQ agenda to influence children. Cancel Netflix on Google Trends has hit an all-time high. Riley Gaines says, "This is what happens when you try to disguise cartoon lesbian makeout scenes as child entertainment. Try Angel Guild at angel.com instead." And Elon reposted that. But he is not stopping at Netflix. Amazon just photoshopped all the guns out of the James Bond movie thumbnails. Just in case you still had hope for Amazon being in charge of the franchise, it is not looking good. And Elon responded with 2 exclamation marks. And more on the Southern Poverty Law Center story from FBI Director Kash Patel. He said the SPLC long ago abandoned civil rights work and turned into a partisan smear machine. Their so-called hate map has been used to defame mainstream Americans and even inspired violence. That disgraceful record makes them unfit for any FBI partnership. In April, during our anti-Christian bias panel, I made it clear that the FBI will never rely on politicized or agenda-driven intelligence from outside groups, and certainly not from the SPLC. Under this FBI, all ties with the SPLC have officially been terminated. Katie Miller quoted that and said, "Why does Google have the SPLC in the top of their algorithm?" And Elon said, "Good question." And America First says that they have obtained thousands of pages of records exposing Biden's Department of Justice shocking partnership and coordination with the radical SPLC to weaponize civil rights enforcement. The New York Post wrote a headline that said the SPLC helped train Biden's Department of Justice prosecutors, had exclusive access to hate crimes data. So America First shared that headline, and Elon replied saying, "Wow." Data Republican says, "Does anyone know how the SPLC is funded?" They report receiving over $100 million in contributions each year, but Cause IQ shows they receive few large grants from other nonprofits. They report only $26 million, and that's over multiple years. That's unusual. And no, they don't report receiving government money. Elon says, very odd. And Mike Benz says the Biden Department of Justice literally outsourced tracking of political opponents straight and directly to the SPLC. Elon said, crazy. And in response to Kash Patel's announcement, Perry Alpha says, this is amazing news. The next step is for AI apps to stop using the ADL and SPLC as sources. Elon Musk needs to lead the way by recoding Grok to drop the ADL and SPLC. For example, this is what Grok says when you ask, is Jack Posobiec a Nazi? And you can see in Grok's answer, they directly source from the SPLC and from the ADL. And it calls their findings investigative reporting. So Elon replies and he says, we are improving the truth-seeking ability of Grok. There is so much propaganda out there that it is harder than it may seem. And then he said, the minds of youth are easily corrupted, which is why the corrupt ply their propaganda to the youth. That post from Elon reminded me of an experiment that I ran with my students back in January. I gave my grade 9 entrepreneurship students 30 minutes to research Tesla and Elon Musk and write a tweet. It was an entrepreneurship and marketing class, so I thought them writing a tweet was an applicable little activity. And of course, they only had 30 minutes, so most of them just did a simple Google search. And as a result, every single one of my students wrote negative tweets about Elon Musk and Tesla. There was only one person, which was Madison, that was not overall negative. And you can see that's why that post got the most likes compared to all of the other students. But this experiment definitely showcases how negative the light is shed on Tesla and Elon, on Google and in the mainstream news. And that post from Elon just reminded me of that story. And yesterday Elon said buying this platform has caused him enormous pain, but he says it had to be done to strengthen the pillars holding up the Western civilization. So Tetsuo quoted that today and he says, that's why we will always fight for Elon and for this platform. And Elon responded with a big, big heart. And a couple more posts. Daniel says they should let Jihad out on bail one more time. I think now he's changed. Elon replied saying, clown world situation. And there's a couple hobbits, that's Merry and Pippin, saying, yes, we've had first principles, but what about second principles? And Elon has a laugh at that one. And come on, name the hardest line in all of fiction. Infinity Book says easy. This is from Fyodor Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, where Sonya confronts Raskolnikov. Your worst sin is that you have destroyed and betrayed yourself for nothing. And Raskolnikov says that to Sonya, who is a prostitute, to express his view that both of them are sinners for betraying their own morals and gaining nothing substantial in return. And Elon reposted that. So, that is everything that Elon said today. Shout out to Isaac for filling in for the last couple of days. It was great to see the energy that he brought to this series. And you guys all seem to really enjoy it, so I think there's definitely room for me to bring more energy. I know some of you like it, some of you don't. I'm still feeling a little bit under the weather, so I'll bring more energy as I receive it. And I'm sure you guys will see Isaac again at some point. As for today, it was interesting to see Optimus doing Kung Fu. Elon says it wasn't teleoperated, that it was AI. Not exactly sure what that means, because to me, it looked like they were mimicking each other's movements as if they were preordained. And it also looked like the guy was wearing a motion capture suit. Correct me if I'm wrong. So did Optimus learn the movements by the guy in the motion capture suit who's really good at Kung Fu, doing some movements, and that's how it taught Optimus that routine? I'm not sure. V14's coming Monday. Elon continues to critique the justice system in the States. So lots to be excited about in every direction. And if you guys want early access to these videos or you just want to support the channel, you can do so by joining the channel as a member, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.